Redditors, what do you regret not doing in high school? I regret spending so much time worrying about what people thought of me. This caused me to be very cautious and risk averse. Turns out, none of it mattered. I could have dated, learned, experienced so much more. High schoolers, ask out that person. Join that club. Take that class. Do that activity that you've been daydreaming about. My life is great. No complaints. But I waited too long to get to this point. You do you is not only reserved for post-high school. Close bracket. I wish I had stood up more for the kids who were being bullied for no reason. Changing friend groups earlier. Randomly last semester of senior year I just started spending time with new people and it significantly improved my life. I wish I just took the plunge earlier. Asking out a girl I was probably in love with because I was too shy. We both had the same interests. Had been friends since elementary school. And we could talk for hours about everything and nothing. The worst part was I found out my senior year that she also had a crush on me through her entire sophomore year, but by then she had a long-term boyfriend. In hindsight, she was dropping a ton of pretty obvious signs. I have a girl now. And she has a different boyfriend. So everything turned out fine in the end. But there is still that what if? Double quote. I was too cool for school and never went to my prom. Never went to any sporting events or pep rallies. Never joined any clubs. Don't be like that. Kids. Socialization is important. Being part of society is important. Even if you don't like the events, you might like the people. Don't assume that the jocks are assholes. Or the cheerleaders are bitches. Or the rich kids are snobs. Some jerks nominated me for homecoming queen as a joke. You could clearly hear them snickering as they said my name, and I declined. I wish I could go back and accept it. I could be the homecoming queen for the nerds and everyone who ever got nominated as a joke. Parties. I got invited to them a lot. But I never got around to actually going. Now I'm in college and still getting invited, but I'm too scared since I don't know anybody here. Edit. I am a super mega introvert. But I'm also nervous that my school is one of the top party schools in the country. And that this one frat known for throwing attending parties is also known for drugging girls' drinks. There's a party almost every night. But I'm not sure how to be safe unless I had friends with me. Paying attention. Especially in science classes. Chemistry was and is a foreign language to me. I am also shocked that I made it through algebra considering I struggled with math in middle school. Pay attention in class, kids. Don't let your mind wander to imagining what you would do if there was a school shooter or how to seduce your hot AF teacher. Getting a picture of the deer that considered murdering me. I was in a morning detention, before school starts, in the basement. When it was over, I went down the hall and through the breezeway where the bathrooms were. When I left the bathroom, a full-grown buck came charging at me but changed direction last second. Ran down the hall and started ramming lockers. My dean was down there and told me to run to the office to get help. No one believed I was the first to see it. It got in by smashing its way through the glass doors in the breezeway. Going to public school. I was homeschooled from birth through high school. College was the first actual school I went to. I wound up with extreme anxiety and could not handle it. I never had a classroom full of people or a teacher. I never had legit homework with deadlines. I was so unprepared. I basically had to relearn how to learn. It effed me up for a bit. I still have major social anxiety and am still learning things at age 30 that I never learned being so sheltered. Also, I have nothing against homeschooling, especially at younger ages. I just think my parents could have done things better. I never had a teenage rebellion phase. I find myself kinda wishing that I had taken risks and tried to have fun while I still had the protection and forgiveness that comes from being a kid. Now, I have much fewer experiences than my peers. Sports. I remember people telling me just go join. You probably won't play in college and it's not the same playing as an adult. High school is the best time to do it. It's really your only opportunity. I really regret not playing team sports. Edit. It is better to have balled and lost than to have never balled at all. Ball is life. I'm in high school at the moment, and I regret, to this day, not taking Spanish. All of my friends speak Spanish and or come from Spanish speaking families. Except me. My dumb white ass thought French sounded cooler back when I was 14. And now as a 17-year-old, I'm realizing how useless 4 years of French really is in the real world. I wish I hadn't skipped classes. I wish I had joined clubs. I wish that I had tried harder to get good grades. I wish I had not focused on being loved like it was my oxygen. I wish I didn't care so much what people thought of me. I wish I had applied myself and got a full ride to college or at least scholarships. I wish I had followed my dream of art school. I wish that I wasn't so emotional about everything. I wish my parents weren't abusive narcissistic alcoholics. But none of that happened. Now I work at a job I don't like and I make $14.75 an hour. I have a husband and a beautiful baby. It all worked out, but I will forever have regrets about high school. I spent all my teen years upset and trying to find a way out of my home instead of following my dreams. Now I can focus on creating a happy loving home for my daughter, so maybe one day she will have the chance to follow her dreams. I regret taking up biology when I could be taking up computer science. I am currently in high school but realized I don't want to work in the medical field, which was the reason I took a second biology class in the first place. Edit. Only a sophomore. Will take up CS next year. I was so insecure and shy in high school. I wish I'd been more outgoing. There were so many things I didn't do because it was just that hard to talk to people. I didn't date. I didn't go to prom. I didn't try out for the school play. I especially wish I'd dated in high school so I could have started to understand how to be in a relationship earlier in life. Go to would be more dating. But I was in a small program that made it terrible to be rejected. Plus it didn't help that I was significantly overweight. So probably lose weight earlier, honestly. Even though I'm a junior RN, I regret not trying to get a girlfriend. I always have crushes but suppress my feelings because they are out of my league or we are poles apart, which for the most part is true. I'm the typical metalhead introvert. I like sitting in back doing my work with my headphones on, not talking. There isn't anybody at my school who would date me and I absolutely hate my school anyway. I got really close to switching schools but I have a lot of friends so I didn't. I wouldn't say I'm popular by any stretch because I talk to a lot of people, but I'd much rather just keep to myself. I want to date someone but I've really given up on it. I should try more but I just don't have the will or drive to do so. Hanging out. Drinking. Being friendly. But also working. I've had a shitty college made of no social interaction and it didn't even result in a diploma. Don't be that lowlife shitty I am. Go out and party and get drunk and high and then when you have time work. Do both. It's possible and it's surely more worth it than the alternative. Thanking the best teachers I had more. Some of their efforts were beyond what is expected and it is people like them who are our chance for the future. I remember distinctly my sophomore English teacher telling me that I was earnestly good enough to be a writer and now I'm pursuing that dream. A decision that has brought me so much joy. If I could go back and thank her for all she did for me, I would 100 times over. Spending a little more time and effort on achieving the grades necessary to gain an entrance scholarship to a university of my choice. I did go to university later in life, but my first degree cost me a big student loan. Dating. Like at all. Sophomore in college and still haven't gone up to bat, let alone rounded any of the bases. But I do make bank and classes are a breeze due to spending all of my time computering. So I got that going for me, which is nice. I regret not taking courses that I was interested in such as music, art, and social sciences. I signed up for courses like physics, chemistry and advanced mathematics in favor of my parents' wishes. I struggled in many of my classes and had very bad grades. That led to low self-esteem, self-doubt and depression. My grades were so low that I wasn't qualified to apply for many programs in college. But everything turned out okay for me in the end. I ended up studying design and fine arts later in college and university. I've been working as a creative for the last 15 years and I'm happy now. I wish I'd pursued my passion earlier though. I also regret wasting my time on bad friendships. There was a girl in my year who was nuts about me. But I didn't figure it out until a few years after graduation. I am not a smart man. In hindsight, I regret not asking her out. I had 2 junior girls offer me a threesome my senior year. They were both gymnasts. Super hot. And kinky, for high school at least. I liked another girl and turned them down. Nothing came of my love interest and that decision is of the few things I deeply regret in life. Edit. I now see OP is in high school. If 2 people offer you a threesome, say FCK yes. Use protection and have fun. Having more casual sex. I don't mean to make it sound like girls were beating my door down or anything. But there were plenty of opportunities that I either didn't take advantage of or was oblivious to at the time. Being part of things. I was bullied so just became so bitter and cold towards everyone. Doesn't help that I was in an emotionally abusive relationship so wasn't allowed to speak to the people I did want to talk to. I missed out on a lot of senior traditions and really alienated myself from everyone. I regret wasting my time on people who didn't care about me. I was always super obsessed with fitting in with the cool kids. Turns out the cool kids only care when you have a car. Or when your parents are out of town. Or when you have weed. Etc. Also turns out they are all losers in the long run. Most of the kids I used to want to hang out with are either on drugs, not furthering their lives and still partying, or they have kids. I'm 20. Don't waste your time trying to be someone else. Luckily I realized this and now I spend my time doing things I enjoy. And I could give 2 shits if someone thinks I'm cool for it. Do cool shit with your time, you only have so much of it. Playing football. High school football is the one chance we all have to play meaningful. Organized football with a schedule. Against other teams. Traveling to away games. Competing for a trophy. Etc. Very few will play college ball and pretty much no one will play in any pro leagues like the NFL. Sure. Adults can play in city leagues and stuff. But no one cares about city leagues and they don't really have well organized stuff. High school football is our one chance to play meaningful, organized football. And I didn't do it. Open bracket. Not having a romantic relationship. The ability to have innocent love without the SO to have any financial expectation. It is what I consider genuine interest. Volunteering or some shit. My mom wouldn't let me do any volunteer work or paid work because it might impact my grades, but the older you are when you start building that resume, the harder it gets. I regret being a timid little fuck. I let way too many assholes get away with things when I was in school. I'm not sure when I changed, but I'm much quicker to take action or speak up in defense of myself or others. Problem is, nowadays I look like a burly lumberjack and I carry myself differently so I don't tend to have any problems. Partying more. Having sex. Building lasting lifelong friendships and memories. And not spending as much time playing video games. Taking advantage of it more. My grades were fine and I learned a lot, but I still regret not paying attention in every class and not appreciating it while I was there. I mean, you get taught about all sorts of different and interesting things for free and you get to do it with your friends every day. I regret not actually learning what I could while I was there. I skipped school like it was the right thing to do and graduated by the skin of my teeth. Permalink embed save. DJ. Having more confidence. I was very easily embarrassed and wasn't outgoing enough and never stood up for myself. Twice I had girlfriends that absolutely walked all over me and I let it happen because I had this stupid notion that they deserved to be treated like queens despite how they treated me. There was also a number of times where I should have told people to FCK off but let them treat me like shit. I regret not watching my diet and working out outside of wrestling. Learning how to study. Never needed to study in high school. Got in the bad habit of doing assignments hours before it was due and never studying for exams. Worked fine then. Still passed. But university is an entirely different kettle of fish I was not prepared for. Some kind of sports. Preferably tennis or volleyball. It just would have been fun. Dyeing my hair all sorts of crazy colors. Because of the way my college was set up. I spent all but about 2 months a year either interviewing for jobs or working at those jobs. Then I went straight into a full-time job after graduating. So I never really got the chance. Eating. I had anorexia all through high school and was hospitalized quite a bit. Missed most of my teens. Had 0 friends. Etc. It sucked. Still in high school. Regret not dating people when I had the chance and not hanging out with friends. Getting the girl. I know how now. And it would have been so easy if I'd had the right sincere mindset. I'm sure there were a ton of great girls my age that were just as lonely and unsure as I was. Not asking out the girl who was part of our hangout group that I had a crush on. Found out years later it was mutual. Getting revenge on my bullies. Nothing too bad. Just putting a rotten eggs on their locker so their stuff smells like T. Capital D. Not making my move on curious straight boys. There were so many I was too polite to make the first move with. Not they're all known to be bi or heteroflexible. I guess SX but coming out would have been the biggest first step. I spent so much time being afraid to be gay. What would people think? Would I lose all my friends? Would my parents hate me? It was all a much smaller deal than I made it out to be. I was lucky, and I could have spent high school experimenting rather than being afraid all the time. Wish I would have dated the girls who were clearly interested. Still glad I didn't drink or do drugs until later in life though. I regret not being able to join the clubs I wanted. Football and debate were too expensive. I regret letting my parents schedule all my classes. I regret stressing about getting anything other than an A. I regret not hanging out with more people. I regret feeling like I had to have a so. I regret not going for the full 4 years. Sure, I benefit financially from it. But I missed out on a large social part. I regret taking some of the AP classes I attempted BC. The stress it caused me plus emotional turmoil plus the killing of my GPA was just not worth the credit I received. Also bear in mind, in HS you do a year-long class to only get a semester done in college. A lot of times the class isn't even going to get you further in your degree. It just gets some general ed done. Plus the college a lot of time has easier and better, fun-wise, classes for you to take. Also sometimes the AP scores won't transfer. If you really want to get ahead you're better off saving yourself the hardship and picking up a class at your junior college. That will further your college degree. Prom. I dated older guys throughout high school that had already graduated so I never got to go. Because they thought it was dumb. It probably would have been dumb. But I still regret not getting to experience it. And now I regret not being single in high school. College student here. Unmarried. I wish I had had more time with a friend of mine named Rachel. We are still friends on Facebook. And chat there sometimes. But live so far away. Different colleges. Same years. She has that inner beauty that counts in the long run. An odd duck. But in the best possible way. When I was with her I felt like I was on my toes and more grounded at the same time. But we only became friends toward the tail end of my senior year. My mother, being older and wiser than I, and being a woman, was probably right when she said Rachel liked me. I liked her too. But because of other circumstances going forward past high school, I had a rough gap year. And because I knew I was not ready in my maturity and such for a relationship, I learned this the hard way beforehand with a girl I haphazardly dated. I decided not to pursue that possibility at that time. I just wish now that things had been different. And that maybe our potential we had then could have a second chance. There were 2 girls that I dated that I thought I could have had sex with if I had made the right moves. I thought this at the time but didn't have the courage to just go for it. I found out years later that in both cases the girl would have done it if I had made a move. Me. Male. 25. And, obvs. Gay. I regret not asking out this one guy I really liked. When I was in high school, graduated 2009, times were different even than they are now. I was in a very homophobic area. With a homophobic family. And even a few homophobic friends. I know. Not a good situation. But I remember sitting in class and seeing him every day. He sat in front of me. And smelled like sweet shampoo every time he came to class in the mornings. Turns out I was right. And he was even gay too. He's getting married soon. To a very lucky guy. We just talked in passing. I was 17. He was 18. Casual friends. Nothing more. But he was a very kind person. Friendly. And gracious in a way that you would not typically expect of a teenage boy. Really wish I could have known him better. But I was afraid. Oh well. Taking it seriously. I skipped all the time and didn't care about my classes. I had fantastic grades when I would actually attend but I was bored. Now I have a get and almost 10 years behind in work where I think I could have been. And I'm super bummed I don't get to go to a high school reunion. Being entirely absorbed in a boyfriend. We grew into different people after high school but I missed a lot of social experiences and parties to sit at home with him. I regret not being ballsy and thinking so low of myself. I know T doesn't matter. But I would have ended up with much better looking girls with much better attitudes towards life if I had just taken a chance. I'd never want to do it over again. If I did though, I'd tell so many people to FCK off. I'd be a sus-master extraordinaire. Think you can bully me? I'll insult you with a limerick I think up on the spot. And if it's a good day I won't even need to include a line about your mother. So many people wanting more sex. I can tell you that teenage sex is far from great. Regardless of how casual you think it was going to be, it always ended up awkward as fuck. It does not compare to sex as an adult and you didn't really miss out. Talking with my dad about not having to come home straight after school ended. I missed out on a bunch of fun cause I couldn't stay out with friends. Also wouldn't have changed who I went to prom with. I probably would have had more fun if I went with the person that asked me instead of the person I asked.